I'm sure that you've heard some of the jokes that are out there and chuckled at them. I'll share a couple of them with you. Question: what is Unitarian Universalism? Answer: a way station between Methodism and the golf course. Or, question: what do you get when you cross a Jehovah's Witness with a UU? Answer: someone who knocks at your door for no particular reason. Or consider what a character in author Marge Piercy's novel Fly Away Home says of her daughters. The girls had been raised UU, which seemed a nice, sensible compromise between having no religion at all and having to lie about what we believed. Enough religion to be respectable, but not enough to get in the way. Yes, we chuckle, some of us more than others, as people poke fun at our chosen religion, wrongly believing or implying that because we have no dogma, no behavioral edicts such as the Ten Commandments, and very little ritual, we do not really believe in anything, and therefore have no moral imperative to act ethically. Some even joke that because we believe in universal salvation, it gives us license to do whatever we want in this life. Certainly, John Lennon did not mean us when he sang, "Imagine there's no countries, it isn't hard to do, nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too." Surely he didn't mean us. We're harmless. No wars have been fought over our religion. Now, we all know that the moniker of religion light is not apt. But that is not the perception of the general public, if they've heard of us at all. While many think it is easy to be a UU because they think that there is nothing we have to believe in or act on, that's really not true. On the contrary, it is actually quite challenging because our religion compels us to engage in a free and independent search for truth and meaning, and then find a way to practice our truths and beliefs. Freedom, like the air we breathe, says the philosopher Santayana, is necessary for existence, but is insufficient for nourishment. How do we begin to get serious about Unitarian Universalism? Bill Miller, a UU minister, says, "For too long, we have not taken ourselves seriously. We have offered a haven for those on their way out of institutionalized religion. We have demanded little and received the same. Too many of us have espoused the notion that one can believe anything and still be a UU. We have embraced a laissez-faire spirituality that has commanded the respect of nearly no one. In other words, we are not serious, and therefore we are not taken seriously." I do not take my religion lightly. I try very hard to live by the principles, and I look to them for guidance when I think about my actions or when I have a decision to make. I am serious about my religion. And that is why I have trouble laughing at the UU jokes that seem to make fun of the fact that we don't really believe in anything. And there's another reason why I've stopped chuckling. I believe with all my heart that this troubled world in which we live needs the compassionate and saving vision of Unitarian Universalism. As gun violence explodes across this country and elsewhere, as civil discourse becomes increasingly rare, as tensions among nations mount, as the gap between haves and have-nots widens and flashpoints multiply, and as climate change threatens our very existence, I believe that our faith holds some of the answers. I believe that people, hundreds of millions of people of many different cultures, races, and backgrounds, need this transforming faith. How can we continue to let ourselves be the target of jokes such as the ones I already told today, when there is so much work to do to heal and protect this world and the people who inhabit it. We can no longer let ourselves be marginalized, ridiculed, or dismissed. Unitarian Universalism will never realize its great potential and mission unless we are, in both reputation and reality, serious religious people. Stephen Carter, in his book, The Culture of Disbelief, asserts that our society as a whole encourages individuals not to take their religion seriously. Here's what he has to say. In contemporary American culture, religions are more and more treated as passing beliefs, almost as fads, rather than as the fundaments upon which the devout build their lives. What this culture says is, if religion becomes inconvenient, give it up. If you can't remarry because your religion does not allow it, well, hey, believe something else. If you must go to work on the Sabbath, it's no big deal. It's just a day off. Pick a different one. If you can't have a blood transfusion because you think God forbids it, no problem. Get a new God. And through all of this trivializing rhetoric runs the subtle but unmistakable message: pray if you like, worship if you must, but whatever you do, do not on any account take your religion seriously. Scott Alexander tells a story from a congregation he served in New Jersey. There he had a parishioner who once told him that he liked the church because it's an interesting and entertaining place to be on Sundays when he doesn't go skiing. Like many UUs, Alexander has encountered in his years as a minister, for this person, religion seemed little more than an occasional hobby or a peripheral part of his life. Denominational statistics, unfortunately, paint the same picture. Far too often, we have been a low participation, low expectation, low commitment religion. Membership in UU congregations nationwide was at just over 140,000 in 2018. And while that represents a small increase over the previous year, over the last 10 years, membership has dropped by just about 5%. And what is even more alarming is that participation in religious exploration has decreased by 27%. So why aren't more people attracted to Unitarian Universalism? Why aren't we more visible in the religious landscape of the United States? Is it because we don't proselytize? We don't go door to door trying to convince folks to try our religion, especially if they want to be saved? We don't preach on street corners. We also do not indoctrinate our kids as UUs. We tell them it's okay to choose a different religion after presenting them with lots of different possibilities. Maybe we do such a good job in RE that some of our youth stop coming to church because they are philosophically grounded and feel that they can do it on their own without attending church. In this congregation, we have tried to be more visible by appealing to seekers and by doing things like buying advertising at the Loft Cinema, reasoning that folks who like the kind of movies that are shown there might like us too. We have rented a booth at the Festival of Books on the U of A campus with the hope of getting folks acquainted with UUism by providing information at an event that attracts thinkers and seekers. But as former membership chair, I can tell you that we have not gained any members or even regular attendees as a result of these efforts. When we originally began talking about what we wanted in a new building, one of the things that topped the list was a location that was more visible to the public, thinking that if they could see us, they might wonder what we are all about and come to visit. We can only hope that that will happen in the future. Now back to getting serious. Let's take a closer look at several of our principles to think about how we could be more serious and see how our religion could help to mitigate some of the problems that plague us as a society. The first principle: we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every being. We are all aware of the level to which public discourse has sunk, not only because of the seemingly endless shock statements and personal insults hurled by the current occupant of the White House, but also the resulting atmosphere of negativity, hatred, and discrimination that seems to define us as a nation both internally and in the perception of other countries. We know that racism still runs rampant in our society and in the larger world as well. There are numerous examples. Think of the Rohingya in Myanmar or the Uyghurs in China. What if we really got serious about this principle and each did our part? What if our acts gained the attention of the public and attracted other like-minded folks to our religion, or at least to our movement? Could we make a difference by refusing to tolerate discrimination and speaking out against it every time we see it perpetrated? Could we make a difference by working to ensure that people everywhere have the same basic human rights: food security, access to public education, health care, and clean drinking water? Let's consider the second principle. We covenant to affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Is our treatment of asylum seekers who come to our borders looking for an escape from random violence and abject poverty compassionate? Is justice served when people of color are incarcerated at a far higher rate than others, and when white privilege is the law of the land? Is it equitable when schools in minority neighborhoods receive less funding than those in Tony suburbs? What would it look like to be universally compassionate in our dealings with others? How would the world be different if we called out every act of unfair or unequal treatment, every miscarriage of justice? Could we make a difference if we really got serious about this? Principle number 5. We covenant to affirm and promote the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. Many of us are alarmed by what we see as subversion of the democratic process in our country. There seems to be a new example every day. So the law doesn't serve our purposes when there isn't a way to, for example, legally build the wall? Well, let's find a way to circumvent it by transferring money allocated for other purposes, such as preschool programs. Comparisons are frequently made to the rise of National Socialism. How many people didn't speak up and resist when they could? Didn't perceive the danger until it was too late? If we were to be serious about this principle, what would it involve? Would it not mean resisting at every opportunity, finding ways to publicly and overtly voice our displeasure, and engaging in acts of civil disobedience that are visible and impactful? Principle number 7. We covenant to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. What if we were to get really serious about this goal and practice it routinely? We are all aware of the irreversible effects of climate change and global warming. Melting of the polar ice cap and glaciers in Arctic regions, wildfires in the Amazon destroying the habitat that produces most of the oxygen necessary to our survival, the depletion of natural resources and the proliferation of toxic waste. But what could we accomplish if we really made a concerted effort to confront this? What if we all refused to buy single-use plastic bottles or use non-recyclable shopping bags, modified our diet to eat lower on the food chain, purchased the carbon offset every time we book a flight, refrain from developing land that destroys the natural habitat of critical species, and tamed our desire to consume the latest technology and gadgets? Could we, as a religion, make an impact so that we begin to reverse some of the destruction of our planet and leave a habitable world for succeeding generations? I'm going out of order because I've saved principle number 4 for last. We covenant to affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Being a UU does not give you the freedom to believe anything you want. Paradoxically, Unitarian Universalism does not give us the freedom from religion, but rather the freedom for religion. It gives us the freedom to search for and find those beliefs which lie deep within our hearts and souls and which we cannot avoid. That is an awesome responsibility. Being a serious UU means searching for your own defining religious and moral principles. Some of us choose a particular faith, such as Buddhism, and practice Buddhism as a UU. The two are completely compatible. Others rely on multiple sources, such as traditions and scriptures of the world's many great faith traditions, especially those of the Judeo-Christian tradition, from which, after all, Unitarian Universalism sprang. Still others, and I count myself among this group, are informed by common sense, a wide variety of sources, and the conscience that we develop from our individual experiences as we travel through life. I know that these goals and thoughts may sound grandiose, and maybe even naive. But doesn't change have to begin somewhere? Are we not at a point in our society where change is necessary if we want our democratic institutions to endure and our planet to survive and our wounds to heal? Maybe we don't think an individual effort would make much of an impact. But what if we made it a priority to bring other people along, without proselytizing, of course, so that it became a way of acting in our congregation, our religion, our community, and our world? Wouldn't that be what it means to get serious about Unitarian Universalism? I say it's time to get serious. I want to leave you with what many may consider a joke, but which to me, anyway, supports the points I have tried to make today. Question: why do UUs go to church on Sunday? Answer: because some questions just can't be answered by Google. I ask you now to turn to your notebooks, which you hopefully picked up when you came in today. If not, Tom will help you out with that. If you raise your hand. Today's question: what could you do to be a more serious UU? I'll repeat that in just a minute when we have a few more notebooks. Okay, once more. What could you do to be a more serious UU?